Yeoman?
Yes, sir.
I thought I told you that when I'm on the bridge, I...
But you wanted the reports by 0500. It's 0500 now, sir.
Thank you. Can't get used to having a woman on the bridge. No offense, Lieutenant. You're different, of course.
We're not moving.
Mitchell, what's going on with my ship?
All systems are in the green, sir, but we're frozen in place.
Feels like the ship and I are in a deep conversation. You know, like a third date.
Can't get used to having a woman on the bridge.
So in this video, I want to talk about something I've been meaning to discuss for a while now. Is Star Trek too woke? Now, just to add a little background, I've loved Star Trek my whole life. I grew up watching the original series and movies. To me, the adventures of Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy, and the rest of the classic crew is the foundation that the entire franchise is built on. I'm old enough to remember when Star Trek The Next Generation was announced, and the idea that there could ever be a Star Trek that didn't include William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, or DeForest Kelley just seemed unacceptable to me. Still, I watched The Next Generation, and despite a very shaky start with some truly terrible episodes, after a while the show improved dramatically. The cast grew into their roles, and from the third season onward, the show consistently put out high quality episodes like Yesterday's Enterprise, The Drumhead, and The Best of Both Worlds. TNG's popularity soared to stratospheric heights, resulting in 3 spin-offs during the Rick Berman era of the late 80s to the early 2000s, the ongoing feature film series to the current-day Alex Kurtzman era, which on TV has been ongoing since Star Trek Discovery's debut in 2017. Now, I think it's important to define what the term woke actually means, because this is a word that's thrown around a lot these days, and I've found it has a different meaning to many different people, particularly when it comes to fans criticizing what their favourite franchise has been turned into. According to Wikipedia, the term woke is an adjective derived from African American vernacular English, meaning alert to racial prejudice and discrimination. Beginning in the 2010s, it came to encompass a broader awareness of social inequalities, such as racial justice, sexism, and LGBTQ rights. So according to that description, you would think that being woke is a good thing. It seems from my perspective that there were 2 events, barely separated by a year, between 2016 and 2017, that seemed to trigger this obsession with modern Hollywood and society in general to go extremely woke. These 2 events, in my opinion, were the election of Donald Trump as President of the United States in 2016, and former film producer Harvey Weinstein being accused of sexual abuse by over 80 women in 2017. Resulting in his ultimate conviction in 2020 and sparking the hashtag #MeToo social media campaign, where similar sexual abuse allegations were made against many powerful men around the world.
There's a kindly, wonderful, gentle man that we all deeply love. His name is Harvey Weinstein. A little rough around the edges, but a heart of gold. And this is a good man. People don't know that, but he's done a lot of good things in life. They'll write an article about that someday, too.
Since then, it seems that the film and TV industry in Hollywood, which in my opinion tends to be left-wing politically speaking, to not only go woke, but to go extremely woke. We've seen a rise in filmmakers, actors, and the mainstream media talking about diversity, representation, and inclusion.
We're getting like more diversity, much more diversity, being inclusive, representation,
black elf, female dwarf. Wow.
Of such a diverse team.
Diverse, different.
Diversity. You're a woman of color as well. Representation.
Different.
We have a lot of representation.
Diverse.
Everybody looks different.
Diversity and the inclusion.
Different way.
Diverse.
There are so many diverse people out there.
I also want to say representative, because we're getting like more diversity.
This has led to a rise in such things as female representation in the likes of not only Star Trek, but Star Wars, Terminator, Doctor Who, and Marvel. And not just female representation, but a rise in the prominence of minority groups in the industry. Now, I'm not saying that this is necessarily a bad thing. Actually, it's a good thing. I'm all for diversity in all walks of life. However, I think it's fair to say that in a lot of cases, it's been taken to extremes. We've seen franchises, particularly male-oriented franchises, like Star Wars, Marvel, and particularly Star Trek, to be feminized to agree that they are not entertainment anymore. They're just a platform for activists to spread the message.
Down with the patriarchy.
Now, as far as Star Trek is concerned, the franchise, in my opinion, has gone super woke. All 3 live-action shows produced since 2017, Discovery, Picard, and Strange New Worlds, have predominantly female casts, filled with girl bosses telling men what to do, and how horrible they are. Women on these shows are most often portrayed as these indomitable badasses who can beat up men twice their size, which is ridiculous, and every Starfleet admiral seems to be female.
Sheer fucking hubris.
And it seems like they have to include at least one gay character in each show, and if they don't create one, they just change the sexual orientation of a legacy character. Now, whenever someone brings up how woke Star Trek has gotten, I always read or hear someone saying something along the lines of, Star Trek has always been woke. Here's the thing. Star Trek, going back as far as its inception back in the 60s, has never been woke. It's been progressive. Gene Roddenberry envisioned a future where mankind had sorted out their petty differences, for the most part, and were united in seeking to better themselves and to explore the universe. As a result of this, the crew of the Starship Enterprise were made up of a diverse crew. While it's fair to say that it was predominantly made up of white males, you had an Asian at the helm, and the communications officer was an African-American female. It's easy to forget how progressive this was for a show made in the 60s. There's that famous story that Nichelle Nichols, the actress who played Uhura, always told of how she was going to leave the show, but Martin Luther King himself contacted her and convinced her to stay on, as her role was a great example of how people of their race would progress in the future. In fact, we saw in several episodes of movies how many of Kirk's superiors were played by persons of colour. The great thing about this kind of diversity is that it was always there. And personally speaking, growing up watching Star Trek, it just seemed very normal to me, and no one at the time made a big deal about it. Now, since it was the 60s, the depiction of women on the show was primarily to, how should I say this, to show off their considerable physical attributes. Now here's where I have a serious problem with the depiction of women in modern day Star Trek. Like it or not, Starfleet is a military organization. Yes, their primary mission is to explore space, but they have a military command structure. Their ships are heavily armed, the crew is trained to fight if they have to, and Starfleet has been involved in several wars. Therefore, being a military organization, Starfleet crews are made up primarily of men. Because, and this is simply a biological fact, women are weaker than men. This is why I can't take modern Star Trek seriously, particularly in Strange New Worlds, as Pike's crew seem to be made up almost entirely of women. Let's face it, if you're going into a battle and you have the choice between a trained group of men or a trained group of women, you're going to choose the men.
How dare you!
Also, men are not only stronger than women, they don't get as scared or as controlled by their emotions as women do. Hey, don't take my word for it. Just ask Mr. Spock.
Creature without form. feeds on horror and fear.
And I suspect preys on women because women are more easily and more deeply terrified, generating more sheer horror than the male of the species.
Still think Star Trek has always been woke? Now, there are exceptions to every rule, of course. We've often seen several female security officers in Star Trek over the decades, and I'm pretty sure that the likes of Katie Taylor or Gina Carano could kick the crap out of me. But the exception does not disprove the rule. Now, you can say that the writers of modern Trek are redressing the balance by having so many prominent female characters in Star Trek these days. But this just goes to show how little reverence they have for the source material. Like it or not, Star Trek is a fictional universe, but it's been established in the lore of the original series that there were no female starship captains during the era of the Enterprise's 5-year mission. The episode Turnabout Intruder reveals that Starfleet has a policy forbidding women from being captains of Starfleet ships, due to them apparently not being able to handle stressful situations. Now, as sexist as that sounds, remember, as progressive Star Trek actually was, it was made during the 60s, and that decade, traditional family structures dictated societal norms and expectations, with men as breadwinners and women relegated to domestic responsibilities.
Oh my God, this is so sexist.
In all fairness, by the time we got to the Star Trek movies of the late 70s and 80s, these kind of gender roles changed, and in Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, we saw the first appearance of a female captain in the franchise, a woman of colour as a matter of fact. Apparently Sonequa Martin Green, who plays Michael Burnham, has never seen that movie though.
You are the first black female captain leading a Starfleet. What does that mean to you?
And being able to be, or play a small part in the solution, being able to show a vision of what a world might look like that is truly diversified and indivisible.
And Captain Scott. Tryla Scott. Said you made captain faster than anyone in Starfleet history, present company included. You that good?
Yes, I am.
On a related note, the first male black captain depicted in Star Trek was even earlier than that, with Paul Winfield playing Captain Terrell of the Reliant in Star Trek II. Here's the thing, if you actually are going to do a prequel to the original series, like Strange New Worlds or Discovery, you pretty much have to stay true to the lore. You can dislike the fact that there were no female captains in Trek at the time, but that's just the way it was.
That's no way to treat someone who's telling you the truth.
Strange New Worlds in particular tramples over continuity every week. Starfleet's first contact with the Gorn was in the original series episode Arena, whereas Strange New Worlds, which is supposed to take place before the original series, has the Enterprise encountering them in several episodes. I'm pretty sure though that since it is a prequel to the original series, that we're going to have an episode where all the women on the ship are told that they have to wear miniskirts and serve the men coffee. Right?
They, not she. I've never felt like a she or a her, so I would prefer they or them from now on.
So that clip that you just saw there is the point where I stopped watching Star Trek Discovery. I just had enough. Star Trek is supposed to be set in the far-off future, not modern times, where it appears that pointing out the fact that there are only two genders is actually considered controversial. Putting all that aside, whatever your take is on gender identity, in the lore of the Star Trek universe, it's been mentioned on more than one occasion that the human race has only two genders.
He had a good student.
He. Commander, there are no he's or she's in a species without gender.
Okay. For 2 days, I've been trying to construct sentences without personal pronouns. Now I give up. What should I use? It? To us, that's rude.
We use a pronoun that is neutral. I do not think there is really a translation.
Gender is a fact. There are only two genders, male and female. People can identify as whatever they want, but don't expect others to participate in their delusion.
Why did you build a translator with a feminine voice? We didn't.
But I heard the idea of male and female are universal constants, Cochrane. There's no doubt about it, the companion is female.
Okay, to sum up, the point I'm trying to make is that the writers of modern-day Star Trek are so obsessed with making everything woke that they've simply forgotten that their job is to just make good Star Trek that the fans will enjoy. Being progressive is a good thing, but you have to respect the lore of the franchise you're working on. The standout show from the Kurtzman era of Trek is Season 3 of Star Trek Picard. The first 2 seasons of that show were just woke garbage, but showrunner Terry Matalas, who was given full control of Season 3, he truly got Star Trek, and essentially turned the final season into Star Trek The Next Generation Season 8. It was truly made for the fans. It was still woke, but it was at a tolerable level. Frankly speaking though, I think the current writing staff on all the Star Trek shows should be fired, and Terry Matalas should be put in charge of the entire franchise for the foreseeable future. Star Trek can continue to be progressive, but you don't have to knock one gender down to prop up another. I want to see both genders, men and women, properly represented in Star Trek. But at the end of the day, I just want good Star Trek. Good news stories that don't contradict what's been established in the franchise previously, with men and women boldly going where no one has gone before. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please give it a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Share it with your friends. Click the bell for notifications. And let me know in the comments, do you think modern day Star Trek is too woke? Most importantly, I hope you all look after yourselves, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye for now.
In the past, women were often considered weak and inferior. But that hasn't been true for a long time.
Earth females are too fragile.
Oh my God, this is so sexist.